hop over while we're on the NFT conversation to OpenSea here. Let's take a quick look here. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time here. We looked at this project last Wednesday live with Mike, and we bought one of their skulls before they were ever revealed. Well, all of the skulls have now been revealed. They all have different attributes and different things on them. And this is actually a project that's getting a lot of attention now. Lionel Richie owns several. The head of Time magazine has, I think, 9 or 10 of them now. But what you will note is that when we bought one of these NFTs, the floor price was 0.21. It got up to 0.25 at one point, and it has plummeted since. So this is both good and bad. And in this space, you need to understand that sometimes when a project like this sells out very quickly and very early on, especially before any art is released, those NFTs, or in this case, the skulls, were actually extremely inexpensive to mint. You didn't get a choice of which one you were getting. You're just paying 0.01 or 0.001 Ethereum and getting a NFT without a picture attached to it yet. And so it was all randomly generated. The sale was completely random as to who ended up with what, but that price that they paid was minuscule compared to the hype that we were buying into just before the release. Now, with that being said, can we take a look at what's buying and selling over here? Highest last sales. Wow. Okay. So there's some skulls going for 120 Ethereum now. Others for 29, others for half an Ethereum, 2 Ethereum. You can see that there's definitely a demand out there. People are actually bidding on these already at these levels. We're talking tens of thousands, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars into these NFTs. So the fact that we spent half an Ethereum to buy one of these skulls before its reveal, this is encouraging to see, despite the fact that the Genesis skulls, those ones that were sold early on, are actually just being flipped for that 5 or 10 times profit. So not overly concerned about the floor price. It should and will likely rise back up over the next week or two. This flushing of we'll call them paper hands, the people selling, just trying to make profit off the project. This is what happens in all NFTs, especially ones that have an elaborate launching scheme where they're very inexpensive to get into before you kind of fully understand what's happening there. So we're going to keep an eye on this. We're going to list that NFT later this week, and we'll talk about the price and how that's going to work come Wednesday. So that'll be cool. Earlier in this year, back in early January, we have very clearly seen a huge push into not just NFTs, but the metaverse as a whole. One of the ones that I happened to miss, we actually weren't operating TXA at the time. This came back in around January 6th is when Samsung launched their own metaverse called My House. Apparently, they've had more than 4 million visitors already in less than a month. Very impressive. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this. This is one of the largest companies in the world that has probably one of the most active metaverses in the world. And they're finally starting to get a little bit of media attention. So this will be an interesting thing to follow up on, not just because it's Samsung and not just because it's the metaverse, but Samsung is very, very deeply rooted into this space. They have very, very close ties with Theta, and we've seen what's happened with Theta in the past since their partnership with Samsung, and multiple other projects as well. So this is going to be pretty wild to follow up with. It's called My House. I've never jumped into it, but I think it might be something that we'll be taking a closer look at real soon. And they're going to move a lot of their marketing, a lot of their advertising kind of money and ambition into the digital world, where, of course, we've seen what's happening with Nike and the Gap. Every retailer is getting into this space and really trying to take advantage of it. In fact, the Super Bowl is going to have NFTs linked to your tickets. And in the future, I expect probably as soon as next year, some major sporting events tickets will actually be the NFTs themselves. And we may or may not even know that we're using them. It will all just be done digitally. So something to consider. NFTs, while they're interesting, neat, and maybe overpriced art for some people. There's a lot of functionality coming, and that's why we keep coming back to the NFT craze and this cycle. That's why they're never going to go away. You thought you were bored of DeFi and talking about DeFi? Just wait. NFTs are going to be just as big, if not larger, in the near term, and they will bring a lot more utility to the real world than decentralized finance has. Decentralized finance is pretty niche, and the liquidity providing